morning everyone, I'm Annie. Today I'm going through and setting up some of the most important pages in my 2023 bullet journal. I'm using a notebook therapy book and I started using this brand for the first time in the second half of 2022 because I couldn't get hold of my Archer and Olive that I'd used previously, and I found that I kind of prefer these books. They work better for me, they have designs that suit me better, and it's just easier for me to get hold of. So for a little bit of background, I take my bullet journal everywhere. This guy is my right hand man. Nothing in my life gets done without my bullet journal. I organize my life in a series of to-do lists, brain dumps and trackers, and this is the best way for me to be able to keep track of everything I need to do, need to remember, and it also helps me build good habits and to be able to check in with myself. I use a different system to the original bullet journal system, and I also have other videos detailing more about my weekly and monthly spreads. I will link that playlist in the description and in the cards. Even though I haven't done a setup video for quite a while, this book governs my daily life. So kicking off in 2023, I usually like to keep things in my bullet journal pretty simple, not super extravagant, but I like to have a painting or a design on my title pages for my month and the year. This is the first year I have picked a word to start my journal, and it's something new that I'm trying out. I felt like this year I needed a little bit more of a focus, so I picked the word journey, and I do go back later on and add in the definition of journey as well as a really great quote that I found. But the main reason I picked this is because I feel like with having published my debut novel in November of 2022, I am beginning a new journey in my life, and I'm really excited to get to experience this. And a lot of my spreads in this video are related to reading and writing, as that is a major part of my new journey. I also love reading books that have journey themes in them, anything from physical journeys to emotional and character arc journeys. At some point in everyone's life, things do change and you do have to take a leap of faith, and that is something I love reading about, and this has significance even within the books that I read and write. So, skipping forward a little bit, my reading shelf and my best book of 2023 bracket are two of my most used spreads in my 2022 bullet journal, and so I am bringing them back. I haven't drawn in all the individual book spines on the shelf page yet, as I haven't quite decided what my reading goal will be for 2023. In 22, my goal was 52 books, which in the middle of the year, I really wasn't sure if I was going to make it. I ended up being really behind through the summer, where I was working on editing and getting my debut novel, From Feathers to Stars, ready for release, planning my wedding, and other things that I can't really remember exactly what I was doing right now. I just know that I was super busy. But I did end up meeting and beating my goal well before the end of the year, so I am waiting till the beginning of January to decide on my new goal based on how much I actually did end up reading. The bracket page is also slightly different to last year, as I'm not including my top book of 2022 in it, so this is a 12-start bracket. I took this template from a sports bracket that I saw online, as this was the easiest thing for me to copy out. It's a similar design to last year, so I know it's going to work great for me. I love doing the bracket, as I find it really interesting how in some months I can read some amazing books and be really unsure of which is the best that month, and other months there is a clear winner. But then to work through the year and eventually decide on my favourite book really gives me an idea on how I found my year as a whole, and there's absolutely been trends on what I was reading in certain months and how I was enjoying certain trends and genres. I like to be able to see how much I connect with books and characters, and that really influences my decisions. For a lot of the year, these pages do look pretty blank and unused, but towards the end of the year and in my second bullet journal of the year, these get really full, and it always looks really nice and used when we get to that point. Skipping the forward log, we're moving on to the next author spread in my bullet journal. Now this is my Kanban board. I tried this out for the first time in the second half of 2022, and I have moved around the order from the first iteration because of the way I like to work through my process, but this does give you a little bit of an inside scoop on how I work as an author. So I use sticky notes to put in the working titles and then eventually the final titles of the novels that I am writing and working on, so that I can move them around through the stages of this board, and it really helps me keep track of what's going on. I have a goal for 2023 that I want to write 2 books. Now, I don't know if that will allow me to get 2 books published in 1 year, but I think it would be pretty darn impressive myself if that was the case. But right now, my goal is just to write them. So this will really help me keep track of what's happening when I have one in editing and one in drafting. And I know I have a few other stories that I've roughly outlined as well, so I can keep a really easy eye on them too and work on them as I feel the inspiration. I write like I read, on a whim and a vibe. Now, this spread is a new one to me. I only started recently tracking when I hit milestones in my first draft, as I got to a point in writing book 2 of the Star Garnet series where I needed a little bit of a nudge. I was feeling really alone and really out of my comfort zone. This is something that I go really into these feelings in my vlogs, and I will link that playlist in the cards and description as well. So with that, I know my word goal, but I also know that for me and my to-do list ways, being able to tick things off really helps keep me motivated and keep going. So I created this spread to give me a little place to tick off my word counts and then reach my word goal, and it gives me that visual to really help keep me going. I also have space on this page to add in the working title and then eventually the final title, details I need to keep track of like names, spellings, specific things about characters, and also date goals, so when I want the first draft completed, when I want to get hold of the proof copies, and all things like this. And because this ties in so closely with the Kanban board on the last page, it will also really help me keep things structured, make sure that I keep on schedule and do things in an order so it's not just all over the place until the last minute. In my monthly section, my habit tracker is one of my most used spreads. I use this every day. I fill it out and it can really help me keep track of everything that I've got going on, making sure I'm drinking enough water, doing something creative, looking after myself, and all kinds of other things. And I also top and tail my weeklies with a writing dump and a reading dump. So the writing dump really helps me get down any spark ideas that I want to shove into my current work in progress, or add a note to something else so that I don't lose it from my memory. And it's also a really great way of me getting down some initial ideas so that I then don't get clogged up in my brain. And my reading dump gives me a place to write a little bit of a snapshot on a few sentences, wrapping up whatever books I've read each month. And this isn't really a review, it's just a little, this is how I felt about the book. So these are my absolute most important spreads to my reading and my writing life. If you have a bullet journal and use any of these spreads, I would love to know how they work out for you. Or if you have any spreads that I should use, then please let me know. Send me a message on any of my social media. All my links will be down below. Don't forget to subscribe and like this video as well while you're down there, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!